r/AskReddit. What were the dumbest lies you believed when you were a kid? Lost my stuffed animal, a white dog, in the airport in Miami when I was 5. It was my favorite, and I was really sad about it. A few weeks later my mom presented me with a brown dog that otherwise looked exactly like the white one I'd lost. She said the workers at the airport had found it and mailed it to us, but he got a tan because he was in Florida. Bought it hook, line and sinker for a few years. Tan dog is now my son's, and he's a big fan. A prime example of why some white lies are good. Well, this is obviously a tan lie. I could not understand how all the death scenes in war movies seemed so realistic. So, I asked one of my older brothers how they did it. He proceeded to tell me that they empty out state prisons in the area the movie is being made, dress them up and give them guns, and tell them that if they survive the filming, then they get to leave jail after. I was told that at around 7 and I believed it till I was around 10. Lol, when I asked, my dad just told me that they were paid. He meant that they were just actors and it wasn't real. My 4-year-old self just thought that they were stupid since no one would have to pay them once they were dead anyway. This made me laugh out loud, thank you lol. That our entire house was covered by cork-sized security cameras and that my parents could see my every move. My kid has convinced herself of the same thing and always randomly asks, what am I doing right now? From across the house. My mom convinced us she had eyes in the back of her head. She could tell us what we were doing in the living room while working in the kitchen facing away from us. We'd test it even further by doing the how many fingers am I holding up test and she'd get it right every time. So all little kid evidence concluded that mom did in fact have eyes in the back of her head. It wasn't until I was much older that I randomly noticed a crystal clear reflection in the kitchen window my mom could always see. That women's periods stop in water to avoid sharks smelling it. LMFAO what? It's an evolutionary adaptation. How many thousands of women would have to have succumbed to this fate to make this happen? I really want to know what would cause us to evolve like this. My older brother pranked me once. I had watched a kids' TV show, I think it was The Electric Company, that featured a guest star who was a tap dancer. My brother convinced me that tap dancers made their tapping sounds, not with their feet, but with their mouths. I spent the next several weeks trying to tap dance with my mouth noises before my mom made me quit. I'm surprised she lasted that long, to be honest. My 5-year-old son is currently on a death metal voice kick. While I generally like metal, and it's kind of adorable, I'm going to get sick of him screaming at the top of his lungs really quick. You can only be yelled at Cheerios and milk please so many times. That the draining sound of the water in the bathtub was a monster that would suck you in as well. A lie made to get me out of the bath. I stuck my finger down the plug hole thinking the swirling vortex it made would spin me around like some miniature tornado. Yeah, the fireman who cut me out of the bath didn't laugh either. Okay, but did you spin? I did not. Got a lovely scar for my troubles though, so win-win I guess. When I was a kid I asked my dad if reading enough books really could give you telekinesis, Matilda, he said yes. I spent many years after that thinking I just wasn't doing enough. A good way to get your kids to read, I guess. My mom used to tell me birds have wings and can fly because they eat a lot of fruits and veggies. I wanted to fly, instead just ended up with healthy eating habits. She Pavloved me real good. When I was a little fellow my parents used to told me, when you smoke you'll die instantaneously. Unfortunately they forgot this at a campfire organized by our former neighborhood and smoked a cig. I remember I was desperately trying to stop them and cried all the time because I thought they're both about to die. See, you just misunderstood. You will die instantly, not them. Yeah, one doesn't simply smoke a cig. You must first sip it over the course of a month to build up a tolerance, everyone knows that. That the hazard button in a car would blow the car up. Holy shit, I'm not the only one. It's such a scary symbol for a kid, only to find out it just makes the lights blink lol. My mom told me this so I just pressed the button to spider. I'm sorry, honey, you need to do homework tonight instead of going to Joey's sleepover. Oh yeah? Blows up car. Car doesn't blow up. My grandmother told me that pinching gave cancer. I got pinched once at recess and yelled at the person because I thought they were going to give me cancer. My mother told me basically everything she did not want me to have caused cancer. Salt cancer. Maraschino cherries cancer. Anything with any sort of food coloring in it cancer. Soda cancer. Spending too much time on TV, computer, video games cancer. Now pinching fell under things she didn't physically want me doing. Those didn't give you cancer, they gave you blood clots. The button on your armrest on airplanes is the eject button. I found out it reclines your seat embarrassingly late. When I was a kid, my dad always told me not to touch it because it was an emergency button. One time when I was like 5, we were flying to visit family and he fell asleep, so I pressed it a bunch because I was curious. Nothing happened and I fell asleep thinking it must be broken. I woke up in a stroller with my parents upset because the plane had to make an emergency landing, and I started crying because I thought it was my fault. That kind of crap bothers me actually, adults telling kids some random crap just because they don't want to bother explaining or they're just messing with you. Yeah, there were a handful of things when I was a kid that a random uncle or some adult told me that was probably just for their own amusement. When I was a kid, my dad told me it cost 25 cents to change the radio station to keep me from messing with the radio in his car. I believed that until I was 14. Don't give strange ideas to some radio or TV broadcaster. I once thought academic scholarships were only given to dumb students so that some of them could still attend college. I even told my older brother that he was so stupid he had to get scholarships to go to college. He went to the Ivy League. Man, I'm worried for whoever told you that. My dad told me he was colorblind to the extreme when I was 8. The sky is green, the grass is blue. Go was red, stop was green. The ultimate. White people look black and black people look white. My mom made him fix that last statement quick when I asked her, "Mommy, do I look black to you too?" She was livid, but I was so gullible at that age, lol. What's Reddit logo, by the way? Looks green to me. It's orange with a reddish tint, a bit redder than the upvote button. That you could get a ticket for having the light on in your car while driving. My parents never told me it was illegal, just that the lights made it more difficult for them to see where they're going. I had a sick magnifying glass with lights on it for my Game Boy, though, so I didn't give a damn. This is revolutionary. Are you telling me that instead of lying to you, your parents explained the actual reason they wanted you to do something? I got it explained as being illegal, the ticket thing too. Then with my kid I was just like, hey, turn that off as soon as you can please, it makes it harder for me to see the road. Walt Disney invented color. Watching a black and white show, I thought everyone from the 50s and lower had lived in black and white. I asked my father who invented color. Dad looked at me dead serious and said Walt Disney. I believed it far too long. I used to work as a reenactor at an 1800s village museum. I would go greet the kids at the school bus in my full outfit and give them some context, including holding up black and white photos of the times before we went into the buildings. One time in a particularly young group, a little girl raised her hand and asked, when we go inside, will it be in color or is it still black and white in there? I loved this little insight into how a child's mind works. My time to shine. When I was a little kid, I went with my mom to take my dog to the vet for a checkup. I asked her if my dog's doctor would be a dog. Lol. My parents convinced us that the person knocking on our door on weekend nights when we were asleep was our Uncle Shillo stopping to say hello. We don't have an Uncle Shillo. It was the pizza guy. How long did they pull that off? That's some next fudging level parenting right there. That guacamole was ground up guacamoles. Dads are great, lol. Customers will ask me what the difference is between pork sausage and Italian sausage. I tell them one is made with pork and the other with Italians. I said this to one customer and his kid went wide-eyed with horror. It was hilarious. Wait till you tell them where baby oil comes from. I mean, olive oil comes from olives, fish oil comes from fish. That adults know what they're doing. Only when you become an adult you realize you're bad at life, but somehow along the way you've become great at pretending you're not. I believe that girls pooped and peed out of their butthole. When I was 16 years old, I asked my older sister, when you go pee, how do you keep the turds from sliding right out at the same time? 16. Yet another child left behind.